Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka SK James FPL.
Hey, he's got himself his new name.
Yep, glad you've updated it.
Absolutely.
Follow me up.
Yeah, for those watching on YouTube, you can actually see James's brand new Twitter handle there. So yeah, I think he's not even hit 100 followers. I mean, that's shameless. So guys, come on, give the lad a follow.
I've seen people hit like 500 in a day.
It's madness, isn't it? And I mean, you're hosting a
Yeah.
podcast. It's yeah, come on. Obviously, I think there's been a few announcements since we did our last Sky podcast. We now know when Overhaul is, which is a big one. So they've announced that Overhaul will commence basically following the first game of I think it's Sky Game Week 24. So it's Friday the 21st of January. It's that Watford Norwich single game day, which I'm sure will give many of us a headache whether we skip it or not. And then yeah, that'll run all the way through during the kind of, I think it's the FA Cup break or whatnot during that point, all the way through to it will be game week 26 for Sky, which yeah, I believe is probably beginning of February. So that is definitely worth keeping an eye on. Planning up to that point, you've obviously got the African Cup of Nations kind of before Overhaul. Most of us are obviously on Salah. We're going to have a decision to make there. But I think it's basically a case of making sure that you don't spunk too many transfers between now and then. Plan what you can, but ideally use that as a point to reset. And if you like yourself, James, you've got some very high numbers of transfers left. I think you're going to be in a really good position.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping to use some because I feel like I've got too many at the moment.
I
Yeah.
love how you keep saying it. How many is too many? Like, how many have you got?
Well, I had like 35 going into the weekend, but
Yeah,
now I've got 33 now
so yeah,
in
so
both teams.
no, that's decent. I mean, yeah, I mean it's obviously higher than the average and higher than a lot of people, but it's not like you're sat down in 10, 15K, are you? You're doing pretty well given the fact that you've only used 7 transfers. And yeah, if you get them right over this period, you could probably really attack some games and still go into Overhaul with maybe even what 28, 29 transfers left.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be the plan.
Yeah, it'd be good numbers. Right. Well, I think we might as well crack on then, mate. And first things first, it was Leicester City 0 at Chelsea 3.
Yeah, very dominant performance from Chelsea. Rather surprisingly, though, Rudiger didn't actually hit passing tier,
Oh,
but
it's disappointing.
we can't really complain when he scores from a corner.
Yeah,
So great stuff from him. Jorginho also missing out on passing tier. I
mm,
mean, he did get substituted in the
he did. Yeah,
77th minute, but normally he's quite comfortable with that.
yeah,
I think the one that you'd really gain if you had him, I doubt it though. Kante.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say what got himself shot here, which isn't something you'd often see for N'Golo Kante, and obviously took his goal incredibly well, and then got passing tier as well. I think the thing with Chelsea is that there's a lot of people that are on, say, the triple up, or even I've seen the quadruple, but that's generally Mendy, Rudiger, Christensen, and potentially Aspilicueta. And I think we're seeing at the moment there's some real rotation with that back line aside from Rudiger. And it's almost as if Silva's fit now, he plays. Once again, obviously, Aspie missed out. I'm so glad I got rid of him kind of prior to the international break because, or had I not, this would have been the ideal opportunity. You saw the teams. But yeah, there's quite a few people obviously on Christensen, and he missed out this week for Chalobah.
Yeah, I lost my patience with Christensen a few weeks ago in Sky. I just wanted that certainty, and I think I've got Rudiger now in one of my teams.
Yeah,
No Chelsea defender in the other, but I'm happy with that. And I moved a couple of players on in one of my teams from this game. I moved Vardy on, I moved Havertz on, and nothing really to savour as a goodbye present either.
I was gonna say yeah. I was I wasn't surprised given that they haven't really performed for you, but the fact that you were bold enough to make those moves, even though you knew that both of them were playing, and it's not something we generally recommend. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be making moves on a Saturday. but you've got transfers in hand, and I think the moves paid off for you this week, didn't they?
Yeah. I have forgotten who I moved on to.
We can come on to that later anyway.
Yeah.
You better have a relook at your team, don't worry. But yeah, I think moving on then, it was Aston Villa 2, Brighton 0.
Yeah. A great first game in charge for Stephen Gerrard's Aston Villa. Not too much to talk about in terms of tiers. Matty Target had a very good day
7
tackling,
tackles.
7 tackles. Extraordinary. Obviously, Tyrone Mings got his goal and shot tier, which is
Yeah.
a good one for a defender.
I think Target and Basuma must have been tackling each other.
I think so. Yeah, 7 tackles for Basuma as well. Maybe that's how he got his FPL bonus point.
Quite possibly, yeah. I was going to say we mentioned that in the FPL pod, and yeah, it was a little bit of a frustrating game for me, to be honest, because I'm a Lewis Dunk owner. And yeah, he was racking up the passes, comfortably hit passing tier once again. And to be fair, all 3 centre backs comfortably in the 80s for passing. But yeah, it was that 84th minute kind of screamer for Watkins, wiped out the clean sheet, and then yeah, Tyrone Mings really stuck the nail in the coffin there to make it 2-0. But yeah, at one point I thought, it was a comfortable 10-pointer for Dunk. However, this just shows how good these Brighton centre backs can be as Sky assets, because they'll continuously pick up pass in tier 2. So it's always going to be usually a 4 or 5 pointer. And have that ticking along is quite nice. And then yeah, if you get the odd 10-pointer, even better.
Yeah, I think the tiers for those centre backs is crucial in this.
And obviously, the big one to note is the fact that Webster returned. Not for Duffy, but alongside him. And yeah, smashed the passes 86, and he was 1 tackle away from tackle tier as well.
Yeah, another great performance.
Yeah, and 7 million. So I think that the fact I mention him is obviously we all know his price. He was a great enabler at the start of the season, and I wouldn't be surprised, if some injuries pop up for people to move back to Webster.
Yeah, no, I think that would make sense.
Right, jumping onto a game in which we all own one man, and that is Conor Gallagher. But this was one hell of a game. It was Burnley 3, Crystal Palace 3.
Yeah, a lot of action in this one. Obviously, a Gallagher assist will take that.
Yeah.
Great performance. I mean, it could have been more goals because Pope made 5 saves, Guaita made 6.
I know, madness. We could have had a 6-0.
Yeah,
easily.
you literally could have done. Benteke obviously playing quite well this season.
Yeah.
2 goals, shot tier. Gray scored the centre back. Palace have got quite good fixtures. He's quite cheap in the game. One to ponder. Obviously, if you've got Gallagher though, he's probably going to be your Palace coverage.
Yeah.
On the Burnley side, you could look at say Cornet for coverage.
Cornet's an interesting one, isn't he? Because I think we're continuously seeing this in terms of the stats for Cornet. He's picking up a goal. I think he scored 4 goals in the last 4 games, but they're usually from 1 or 2 shots and very little passes. So his involvement in the game as such is quite minimal, but he's clinical, and when he gets an opportunity, he's taken them. I'm not sure that's what you want to be gambling on. Obviously, you're effectively gambling on he has to score, because he's very unlikely to pick up any tiering. Whereas obviously with Gallagher, for instance, yes, he's picking up the odd goals and assists, but this game obviously doesn't show it stats wise, but usually he's pretty good for tackles or passing. So yeah, I think Cornet is probably at the moment more of an FPL asset than he is a Sky asset, but it is one to keep an eye on, because yeah, he's improving week on week.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, moving on then to the Newcastle game, and it's great to see that someone smashed the tackle in this game for Newcastle as always. It was Newcastle 3, Brentford 3.
Yeah, this time it was Murphy, 6 tackles.
Love it.
Yeah, this game was a special game. Mainly Joel Linton, goal and shot tier. What a legend.
And he fell over like 3 times in the box as well. Gotta love him.
Yeah, it's got to be done. Tony owners can feel very happy. Finally, returning.
Yeah, I can't imagine
Embuemo
there's many.
owners, not so much.
Ibuemo's he's frustrating me. Obviously I brought him in a while ago for Rafinha. That hasn't really paid off. But I mean, they score 3 goals, and not only does he's not involved, he doesn't get an assist. I mean, he hit the post again, for fuck's sake. That's 7 times this season. He's hit the post. I just want one of them to go in. Just one.
Yeah, he loves that post.
Fucking does, honestly.
Yeah.
So, it's just annoying because you see someone like Canos, for instance, picks himself up another 2 assists, and he's done well this season. And obviously Norgard, again, another option that I think could be a consideration for Brentford this time, picking up tackle tier 2. He's ticking along nicely, whereas Mbomo is probably the one that a lot of us went to, not only for the Brentford coverage is a cheap asset, but to probably cover that single game day in the weeks to come. And yeah, it's just not paid off at the moment.
No, it looks like Tony or Canos are probably the ones to go for if you're going for Brentford in that game.
Yeah. I don't want to move on to the next game, but I suppose we have to. It was Norwich 2, Southampton 1.
Yeah, a bit of a disappointing one for us. Obviously, a good start with Che Adams, a, a decent goal, but then
Yeah, good
obviously
finish.
pegged back with
Immediately.
Timu Puki. It's a shame. Obviously, people that own our players are probably on Prowsey. Came away comfortably with passing tier,
Yeah.
89 passes. Just a shame didn't feature any elsewhere. McCarthy let us down. You can see
Yeah.
that.
Both
Yeah,
both goals were his error.
yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly.
it's not good enough.
I think. Well, I brought in Livramento to cover our captaincy a few weeks ago.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people were on him, and it was a great move. He obviously is quite cheap, but now I think maybe is the time to move him on
Yeah. Yeah,
because you
looking at
got
our fixtures, yeah.
yeah, very tough run. Liverpool next, and it just carries on that kind of path. So if you can afford it, ship him out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously, is he 6.4? So
6.5, I think.
okay, so like we mentioned, if you've got a little bit of money in the bank, someone like Webster could be a really good jump where you're not spending too much to come off of an asset that maybe isn't necessarily getting the returns now to someone that is probably very likely to be ticking over with the 4 and 5 pointers. So yeah, I think that could be popular in the weeks to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, let's jump on to what was easily the most surprising game of the weekend. It was Watford 4, Manchester United 1.
Yeah, a bit of a crazy one. Obviously, Sarr missing a pen. Well, he kind of missed it twice.
Yeah,
Um, Crazy. Dennis, 3 assists. So that's
stunning.
insane. Um, credit to him. Watford putting a lot of tackles in this game. Kiko on 5, Messina 4, Louser, not sure how to say it, 4 tackles. Very good performance from Watford, and obviously the end for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, and the irony is the fact that Donny van der Beek was the one that scored the only goal for Man United the game that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked.
Yeah, it's finally plays him.
Absolutely. Obviously, Watford are an interesting team because they've got this kind of performance in them, and that their forwards have been very good as of late. I think in FPL, for instance, that the top 2 form players are Dennis and King. So Watford and Sky have got that single game day, not until Friday the 21st. And it's obviously as we mentioned, it's the week in which Overhaul starts. So it's whether you bother to spend a transfer before that. But given the African Cup of Nations and stuff is coming up, could you maybe jump on a Watford player quite a bit prior to that? The only issue being the fact that Dennis takes up a striker spot. Are you willing to sit with Emmanuel Dennis in your team, maybe even as a replacement for Salah, because it means you could then use the money to bulk up your midfield or your defence for 3 or 4 weeks?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's. I think it's something that I'm going to be looking at, but I don't know if I'll have the balls to do it.
Fair enough. That's very much out of your dad's textbook, the Dennis one.
He is absolutely loving it. Honestly, I don't think he played him in FPL this week. I'm pretty sure he was like second or third on his bench, and it serves him right.
Oh no.
Yeah, Wally. Right, jumping on then to a surprising game, to be honest, and a game that didn't really have a lot of tears either. To be fair, it was Wolves 1, West Ham 0.
Yeah, the only tears for West Ham was Fabianski saves. Very disappointing across the board for them. Obviously, particularly Antonio, most of us own.
Yep.
Yeah, painful. Wolves, on the other hand, obviously, great win for them. Jimenez scoring two great fixtures coming up. Saar got 11-pointer for me, which was very
Yeah, I was
welcome.
gonna say
Very happy with that.
great for
Unexpected as
SARS,
well.
big time.
Yeah, very unexpected, but I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, I think for those on West Ham assets, obviously Benrahma, Antonio, Declan Rice, for instance, I think this was a frustrating game. But for me, it's been a frustrating few weeks as a Benrahma and Antonio owner.
Yeah, big time.
And
Benrahma's just hanging around like a dead fart.
yeah, well, I use this as the final straw. So
Yeah.
both Benrahma and Antonio after this game went, and I replaced them both with players on the Sunday. We'll come on to the players that I selected, but it's fair to say it paid off straight away.
Yeah, fair play. I've got to get rid of Benrahma.
Yeah, he was just winding me up, honestly. Jumping on then to obviously the game in which pretty much everybody would have captained Mo Salah. He got himself a goal and he got himself the shot tier. So it was Liverpool 4, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, very comfortable performance for Liverpool. Trent owners loving life. Obviously, 2 assists, clean sheet. You can't complain with that.
Nope.
Salah got man of the match in this, didn't he?
Yeah, which I found interesting. I mean, I was not complaining as a Salah
I
owner.
was.
Yeah, I bet. Given you went Ronaldo captain, didn't you?
I did, yeah, in both teams.
Yeah, but I was surprised. Like, I thought Trent, for instance, could have got it. Mane with a goal and an assist. But yeah, I think the pundits were very much singing Salah's praise, kind of his influence on the game, and he's a very influential player, and he's on such great form. But yeah, he was a surprising man of the match for me. But I'll take that. It's an extra 6 points, albeit most of us, with some exceptions, were on him as captain anyway. So.
Yeah, a bit of a painful one for me. Yeah, the defenders, obviously, the centre backs romping home with tier 2 passing, 95 passes from Van Dijk. Yeah, very strong performance from Liverpool.
Yeah, I was, as a Van Dijk owner, I was very happy with that return because there's been some frustrating weeks from Van Dijk where he hasn't even hit passing. But yeah, it's good to see kind of him back on form. And talking about passing tiers, I think it's only right we move on to the next game because 6 of Man City's players comfortably smashed it. It was Manchester City 3, Everton 0.
Yeah, 3 of them breaking the 100 club.
Yeah.
Walker, Stones, and Rodri. Fantastic goal from Rodri.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, just
Thunderbolt.
Outrageous. Yeah. Bernardo Silva keeps returning. Don't know why I've not looked at him more, to be honest. I actually brought Foden into my weaker team.
Yeah, it's frustrating for you.
Perhaps Silva was the way to go.
Yeah, well, I know we sung Rodri's praises a couple of weeks back, and I think we had a question from Martin, our friend over at the Man On Pod, and I've seen in his team because he's kept it open that he brought him in, and yeah, I think it was a 14-pointer for Rodri this week. So yeah, cracking return.
Lovely, and obviously that man Cancelo returning again, just in such good form at the moment. You feel a lot of people captained him over Harry Kane, and I completely understand why. And obviously, we'll come on to that being a good decision in the next game.
Yeah, definitely. Cancelo is one of the players that I brought in this week, particularly after his whole last week. I did mention on that pod that the plan was to never go that week, and it was always going to be Antonio to Cancelo this time round. But yeah, I was very glad to see 13 points that I didn't miss out on this time, double to 26 as captain, and yeah, turns out it was the right decision to go there over Harry Kane. On the Everton side, I guess the most owned player from Everton's perspective, and potentially there to cover captaincies coming up, is Damari Gray. And it sounds as though, I don't think I've seen any official statement, but it sounds as though he's potentially out for at least 6 weeks with an abductor issue. Went off in the 17th minute. So for those that are on him, you're probably going to have to be coming off. But it does make it easier to come off if he's injured, because I felt effectively stuck on him. Obviously, we've spoken about it before. I'm reluctant to move players on before they play. And Everton seem to consistently be playing on Sundays at the moment. This time round, it does mean that this weekend, I think there's some good opportunities to jump on other players from Gray, particularly if you've already got coverage like myself in Ramsdale.
Yeah, bin him off. It just makes sense.
Yeah, about bloody time as well. And then the final game of the weekend, and a game in which, yeah, like you said, the debate there was, do you captain Kane or not to captain Kane? And looking at Dan Cox's poll, I think quite a few people would have. And Kane's ownership shot up as well. In the top 1K, I think he's up to 66% now. So a lot of people, I mean, I've been calling myself stupid for having him for the last 4 or 5 weeks. For some strange reason, people are still bringing the man in. And yeah, got nothing once again. But the returns are coming, James.
Yeah, you keep saying. Yeah, I don't understand it myself. I've not got him in either Sky Team or FPL, and it's
Paying off
good
so
that
far.
other people have got their money invested in him.
Yeah.
However, the man that is a shrewd investment is Pierre Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel? Is that his name? Oh, was it
Emil.
Pierre Emile? That's it. Yeah, Hoiberg.
Yeah.
What a man!
Oh yeah, what a
Doesn't get any
man.
tears this game, but he doesn't need to because he scored.
What a man. And I say that, James, because you've been banging his drum ever since the first overhaul, and I've been like, yeah, I know he's a good asset, but there's no way I can bring him in. Well, this weekend you changed my mind, mate, because obviously I messaged you to start with, and I just said, like, I brought Cancelo in, that's it, and I kind of held back. And yeah, as this game popped up, to see that man score Hoiberg was the perfect opportunity to tell you that I brought him into both teams, because Benrahma, I binned him off. Hoiberg came in and straight away got me 8 points, so I was very happy.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing those returns
Oh, I hope
every
so,
game
mate.
now.
I hope so. Now I can join in on the praise. You see, honestly, I felt defeated every time I see a return from Hoiberg, and you're there just smiling on the end of the camera.
Good stuff.
And then obviously on the other side for Leeds there, Rafinha missed out, heavily owned. I was quite thankful, given I'm one of the only people in the top 1K to basically not own him. But Cooper, once again, picking up passing tier. So, yeah, he's been incredibly consistent, and he was unfortunate not to pick up tackles. I think him, Stroik, and Llorente all on 3 tackles, so incredibly unlucky. Dallas obviously got himself tackle tier there, and Kelvin Phillips had a very good game, basically man marking Harry Kane for much of it. But yeah, got himself both passing tier and tackle tier, so really good performance.
Yeah, I think this team did quite well. I didn't have too much hopes when I saw the team sheet before
No,
kickoff, but
no,
they actually did give a good account of themselves.
agreed. Yeah. Right then, let's move on to how we got on this week before we jump on to our community questions.
Yep. So team one got 77 points. 26 of those from Cancelo, 12 from Salah, 10 from Ronaldo, 5 from Gallagher. I think I can't remember if that's fallen or risen. I think it may have fallen. It's 3K. And team two. Oh, my Sky has timed out.
Oh, no problem. I'll crack on whilst you reload there, mate.
But it's here. It's
Oh,
fine.
that's right.
Team two got 102 points,
Nice.
which is 11 from Saar, 13 from Alexander Arnold, 14 from Rudiger, 26 from Cancelo, 8 for Hoiberg, Salah and Ronaldo returning. It's very happy with it. I took out DS for Cancelo. thought it was a sideways move, but I thought it was
Paid
worthwhile,
off.
and it definitely was. And that team's now
Yeah.
up to 1.2k. So I'm looking to crack the top 1k.
Like I said, mate, and honestly, you're sitting there with what 33 transfers in that team. So to
Yep.
to be 1.2k and 33 transfers left, that's prime position. If you get your transfers right over the next 4 or 5 weeks during the busy Christmas period, and then reset and reassess at overhaul, you could be in a fantastic position.
I hope so.
There are a lot of people that are going to be listening to this jealous of the fact you've got 33 transfers. That's for sure. Moving on to my main team. Finally, a good week. Got 103 points, largely down to the fact obviously brought in both Cancelo and Højbjerg for Antonio and Benrahma. Both returned there. Obviously 26-pointer as you've said, and Højbjerg, lovely to see that 8-pointer there. He's sitting there holding his badge. I missed his face from last season. I really did. And then Rudiger, Van Dijk, kind of Dunk. They're sitting there picking up the points. Midfield has been a bit of a struggle. Seeing that kind of orange flag on Damari Gray. I mean, it's not a nice injury, but it kind of makes me smile because it means that I can kind of get rid of him now, honestly. And there are plenty of options. One particular option which might surprise you that I'm considering is Emerson Royale, because he picked up tackle tier in the Spurs game. I think he's 7.9. I'd need to double check, but given I don't have a lot of flexibility if I do want to bring in Ronaldo later on, I think I can go up to about 8.2 million. And I was really impressed with the performance. Plus, I genuinely think with Conte at the helm, there could be a few clean sheets coming up for Spurs. So he's maybe a differential that I'm potentially looking at, and that is finally back into the top 1k. Jumped up to 863rd, so it's good to see there. And then in my B team, I think it was a slight red arrow down to 2.6. That got 83 points, so not too bad, but could have been better had Sarr, for instance, scored his penalty. He sat there with 7 points, and he's just been stuck on my team the whole time, but I got to keep him, so it is what it is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right then, we obviously put the tweet out earlier today, given we were recording on the Monday rather than the Tuesday, and our Sky listeners did not disappoint. We've got a good few questions there, James. So, first things first from FF Dempsey. Are Watford assets worth considering for the single versus Brentford and later on versus Norwich? If so, who will you be considering?
It's a very good question. It would be tempting to go for someone like King. However, King and Dennis both occupy that striker spot.
Exactly.
And that's kind of earmarked by like Salah, Kane, Ronaldo. There's plenty of others you could put in there as well. Antonio.
Yeah.
It's tricky. Obviously, midfield you could go for Sarr.
Yep. Is a reasonable option.
It's an option. I mean, or go for the YouTube star Ben Foster getting his assists. Well, I don't think he got the assist in this game.
No,
Sky.
no, I don't think he did, which is incredibly harsh.
Yeah.
But I think, for instance, Sarr could be a good shout there, James, because especially if you're, say, on Damari Gray, you could go across the Sarr and then hold him all the way through, like you said. And if you've not got Brentford coverage, he then covers 2 singles. Plus, I think Sarr will probably continue to tick over. Yes, you will get the frustrating 2-pointers kind of week in, week out. But then suddenly he'll come up with, a 10-pointer or a 15-pointer. This game could have been even better had he not missed that penalty. It could have been a hole, and it could have been similar to Dennis, for instance. So I think Sarr, because he's a midfielder, would probably be the one I'd go for Watford.
Agreed.
Right, jumping on to FPL Glasto, and obviously it touches on the fact that Damari Gray is injured. So he says, Gray is injured, and it leaves me with 9.5 million to play with. I currently don't have any Everton or Arsenal coverage for that single game day. I need a replacement midfielder.
Okay, well, if you're looking for coverage, obviously you could go for the likes of Smith Rowe, Saka. Saka hasn't really been doing it recently.
I think Smith Rowe would be the one I'd go for.
Yeah, Smith Rowe if you're going for the coverage. If not, then there's obviously the greats of Højbjerg and so on.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're genuinely just looking for coverage for that game, and you want to move, Smith Rowe, because he's also a downgrade. So you're not only not having to spend that 9.5 million, but you're saving another 0.3 to go from Gray to Smith Rowe. And that 0.3 can make a big difference, as I've found out on my planning spreadsheet. Like, I would have ideally maybe moved back to Rafinha, for instance, from Gray being injured, even though I've said I wouldn't do it, but I can't afford it because I'd be 0.1 short from Ronaldo. So yeah, that kind of 0.3 could make a big difference to your planning, mate. So for the coverage, yeah, I'd be going Smith Rowe, maybe a defender, but if you're adamant it has to be a midfielder, then yeah, Smith Rowe for me. Right, looking at just more of a statement from Tom Sky FF. It's I've had Harry Kane from day one. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, got to ship him out.
Yeah,
Although obviously the fixtures, it's a tough one. You're like prisoners.
yeah. Honestly, Tom, I think you're probably with me. Like, stick with him. And I've seen, to be fair, he's got a few comments in there. I think Dan Cox has even chipped in saying, same here. At least kind of we can console ourselves in the fact that we took a conscious decision, yeah, previously, but more and more people are doing it. And now the fact that he's 60%, 66% in the top 1,000, 660 managers in that top 1K now own Harry Kane. So if he goes big, mate, James, and you're not on him, you could really suffer.
Yeah, true. I was worried this week, but yeah, nothing to worry about.
Nah, not yet. Question from Luke Notley 1995. It's Luke NDN. I have some really good chats with Luke, particularly about the F1 format for Fan Team, but that's a different story. But his question is, how many transfers are you aiming to have by overhaul? I'm thinking 22 to 25 will be just fine.
I want to obviously. I spoke earlier. I want to get rid of them. I want to use them. So
Yeah,
I
don't
don't know.
use
Like,
them unwisely.
I think I'd be happy with like 28.
Yeah, I think you'll comfortably have 28 transfers.
Yeah, or even 26. Like, I think that would still be plenty. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. If you run anything above 25, I think you're doing very well. If you're anything, say, around the 22 mark, I still think that'll probably be above average. So, yeah, it just depends on how much you want to hit the fixtures now or save them until after overhaul. A good question in from Glenn Roy. How many goals would Kanan and Burmo have to score on the days captained to justify holding them? Liam Dorian has put quite a funny GIF file there, just going 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tricky.
Yeah, maybe 2.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say that's why I was thinking. Ideally, I'd like to see at least a couple of goals from both of them. But uh, if Mbomo, for instance, gets a goal, it may be shot tier in that game in which I'm holding him for the captaincy, I'll be happy. And last question then in from Mitch. It's Mitch_Greg14. Do I wait for Antonio to start firing, or do I just swap him for James without a fixture game? I'm sick of blankety blank.
guess we're talking British James here.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But not just like reacting to the Leeds
just
performance.
reacting to the Leeds performance. No, it's a tricky one. Like I've said, I'm not a huge fan of moving from a player before they've played. If you're willing to take that risk, then sure, particularly given this weekend they play Man City. But you'd also want to be sure that Reece James is playing. The last thing you'd want to do, obviously, is take Antonio out to find out that Reece James has been rested after maybe playing this week in the Champions League and Aspilicueta's back at right wing back. So it's a risk. I'm not sure I'd be too happy doing it myself, but I can see the upside given the amount of points that James is just racking up week in, week out.
Yeah, no, I can see the logic in the move, to be honest.
Yeah, big time. Right then, I think that probably draws to an end our Sky format of the podcast. And as you guys all know, we have a sponsor this month. So fire away, James.
Yep, this episode has been brought to you by Manscaped, who have just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the lawnmower. You can join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TSK20 at manscaped.com.
So guys, imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. Manscaped Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredibly comfortable grooming experience, as we both know, James. Their fourth generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. So it's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence. Your balls will definitely thank you.
So yeah, that's 20% off and free shipping with the code TSK20 at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Nicely done there, James. So, as always, guys, thank you very much for listening, and thanks for your questions. You know, the fact that they keep coming in, week out, really makes a big difference to this podcast, and yeah, keeps us smiling. So, I think that draws it to an end now, James. And as always, it is a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.